there's limited literature on the implementation and evaluation of physical activity programs that are accessible and suitable for families, particularly ones that are open to both mothers and fathers who experience the effects of marginalization. With that said, my name is Jessica Webb, and I'm excited to share findings with you from my MA thesis, and I appreciate you having me today. Before moving along any further, I would like to acknowledge that I am presenting from the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Chippewas people. Further, the majority of this research took place on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations. It's important for me to acknowledge this because the essence of my project is equity and access, and we cannot attain either of those things without recognizing the ongoing effects of colonization. So to provide you with some important context for this project, my project was born out of a bigger community-based participatory research study that was in partnership with the University of British Columbia and YWCA Crabtree Corner in Vancouver, BC. The past research looked at trauma and violence-informed physical activity with pregnant and parenting women who were living and accessing services in Vancouver's downtown east side, a neighborhood that is often referred to as the poorest postal code in Canada. In the downtown east side, there are numerous support programs for mothers, but a dearth of family-centered services that recognize fathers' wellness as being important to the family unit. From 2013 to 2019, I worked as frontline staff at several organizations in the downtown east side, where I consistently witnessed the tensions that families faced because fathers were unable to access the same supports as their partners. Current literature shows that despite the well-known benefits of involved fathers, fathers who experience marginalizing conditions are often left out of program delivery and services. Given that fathers also experience a number of barriers to physical activity, the goal of this project was to address both of these gaps and to provide insight into fathers' participation in a physical activity program that met their needs. My research question is, how have men's lived experiences as fathers in the downtown east side shaped their participation in Make a Move, a family walking program? I selected intersectional post-structuralism as my theoretical framework because it recognizes the social processes that account for the way that power can fluctuate. This complex framework is particularly effective for unpacking the use of language, understanding the historical and contextual influences that have affected fathers in the downtown east side, as well as the ways that gender is complicated and very complex by processes of marginalization. This project follows the methodological and philosophical tenets of community-based participatory research. Notably, CBPR researchers work with existing communities, recognize their values and priorities, and endeavor to strengthen the sense of belonging within the community. This is attained by giving community members authority and control within the research process as a way of attending to problematic power differentials. So this project was an iterative product of extensive discussions with an advisory board made up of community members, as well as a number of small conversations and observations that happened during the programming with women. In the very early stages of the research with pregnant and parenting women, the participants said very clearly that they needed a women's-only space in order to feel safe enough to be active. However, as our program progressed, several participants identified that their male partners or their children's father would likely benefit from participating in a physical activity group that was similar to the weekly walking group that we had created. So at that point, recognizing that fathers were underserviced and listening to the needs of the women, I applied for funding from the UBC Partnership Recognition Fund to initiate a weekly walking program for families that was open to fathers. We called this 6-week pilot program Make a Move Family Walking Program. Anyone was allowed to join the walking group, but we recruited fathers who were parenting and that accessed services at Crabtree to participate in the study. I conducted semi-structured interviews with 9 fathers who participated in the walking program with their children and their partners. Notably, 3 of them were single dads. Interviews happened on site at Crabtree Corner. We provided childminding. Participants got a $25 honorarium, 2 bus tickets, and each person got a brand new pair of running shoes. Interviews happened in the weeks leading up to the commencement of the program and then in the weeks following. I used critical discourse analysis to analyze this transcript and identified the following discourses. Fathers and their children do not belong in the Downtown East Side. Fathers in the Downtown East Side are busy, active, and do not require additional physical activity programming. And third, that Make a Move improved well-being for participants. Fathers in this study described enduring a lot of judgment for raising their children in the Downtown East Side. Many of their statements spoke to the challenges that they face and lack of services that are available to them as fathers. Creating a counter discourse, some of the fathers explicitly defended their presence and existence within the Downtown East Side and endorsed the neighborhood as one that is supportive, safe, and family-friendly. They also stated that they feel like they have a right to be in this neighborhood with their families and with their children without shame or guilt. Throughout the majority of the interviews, the fathers in this study justified how active they were due to the busyness and demands of their everyday life. More specifically, fathers elaborated on the ways that both the marginalizing conditions of their life and their parenting responsibilities were facilitating factors that increased physical activity for them and usurped their energy resources. The second quote is from a single father and is an example of how many of the fathers in this study challenge pervasive dominant discourses about the deadbeat, low-income, marginalized father who is lazy, selfish, and absent from their family's lives by demonstrating the effort and sacrifices that they have been making for their family. The language that they use indicated that they were dedicated and doing everything they could to show up and support their family, despite the fact that there are not a lot of resources, especially for them. The popularity of the group runs counter to the second discourse, that they are not interested in physical activity programming. Their consistent participation in Make a Move demonstrates that they not only wanted to engage in health prevention practices, but they wanted opportunities to improve their well-being. Further, many of them said that they were motivated to attend because other fathers would be there. They said that they felt proud to represent fathers as they walked around the neighborhood. Fathers in this study astutely called for more programs like Make a Move that are inclusive of men enduring similar circumstances. Moreover, the language they use is indicative of their frustration with not having appropriate services available to them while enduring these discourses of them as bad fathers. So this father in this last quote says, "It's about time," which is a call for change and a hope for the future, where fathers are recognized for the work that they are doing for their families and accepted and supported within the Downtown East Side. Thank you so much, and I look forward to any questions.